my next question is, what would be essential to preserve if, well, it says your book, so let's say your favorite book, if you've written multiple. What would be essential to preserve if your book were ever adapted for film or television?
I have a kid who just got out of film school. He wants to make his own horror movie, but he said, oh, if I can get the money from this, if I can turn a profit, can I have the rights to Jackie and Craig? I'll let you have a ton of creative control. I said, yeah, sure. And the thing to preserve is they always say the spirit of the book, and that's what I want to preserve. I want two kids, hell-raising tomboy and her panic-stricken best friends who are disliked by everyone else. That's why they're friends, just fighting monsters. He straight up told me, yeah, there's 10 different kinds of monsters in the book, all that. I think with practical effects, because they're not doing CGI, he goes, we can afford 3 kinds of non-humanoids. We can do the black-eyed kids and the flesh gates, but we can do 3 kinds of non-humanoids. So I'm willing to, I changed the whole thing. I made it filmable on a couple $1 million. I made it as concise as I could. As long as it preserves the realistic friendship between the characters, then it works. That's the whole point of the book, is about the friendship of the characters, growing up, struggling. It's very, coming of age. Think The Sandlot crossed with Ghostbusters. I'm okay with cutting the monsters, changing the plot, doing all this, if it means people will feel the way they felt when they read the book. I actually don't even know if a straight, exact mini-series adaptation would even be good, because a lot of stuff wouldn't translate. So as long as people feel how they felt when they read the book, I'm fine with that. And I know if that movie gets made, I'm gonna get raked over the coals, oh, that's different, that's different, that's different. I promise you, the exact version wouldn't be good and you wouldn't like it either.
Well, my novel, The Monsters Among Us, plays heavily with themes of mental health and neurodivergence, so I feel like Hollywood would try to water down those aspects of it, despite the fact that the book tackles the beauty of neurodivergence as well as the devastation that can come with mental health issues. And, well, that would be a problem because it's so central to the plot. It would lessen the emotional impact, and it would kind of destroy my desire to place the reader into the shoes of someone with depression and anxiety to then better understand it. And yeah, so if that ever happens, read the book instead.
I have just one book. It's called No One You Know, and it's a sad book. It's about a girl who loses her best friend, and she's a teenager, and it's her relationship with her mom in the year after it happens. But I think it's a funny book too. My husband says it's funny, but I would want to preserve the sense of humor. Whenever someone picks up the book and they read the description and they're like, it sounds so sad, but I try to make it funny, and I can't read any books that don't have a sense of humor, no matter how much of a tragedy it is. I always need a book to have a sense of humor, so that would be what I would want to preserve.
Actually, similarly, so I have a rom-com series called the Small Town Dirt series. It's Dirty Ho, Dirty Latte, Dirty Laundry, and Dirty Martini is coming. And I think the witty banter, I would never want to let go of. I love the witty banter. I love that the characters play off each other so comically, and some of the topics that it touches on are kind of serious, kind of dark. Not through most of it, but book 2 gets a little bit darker than the others. But throughout all of that, I just think that underlying character back and forth kind of brings a comic relief that lets the reader get serious, but then come back and laugh about it. So I think that, and the small town charm, people have told me, oh, reading your book is like reading a Hallmark movie, except with a little bit of spice. So I think that those are the things I would try to maintain.
My book is called Death and Coffee. So obviously there would be lots of coffee, all different kinds throughout the entire production. But in addition to that, it actually follows Prudence, who's a reaper, and it starts in 1661. And her transformation, the historical decades and centuries she lives through, I think are so essential to her character and her development that I don't think you could get rid of those. You would need to kind of follow her through history to understand who she is.
I think the witty banter is a must, but I also want the stories to feel dynamic. I have started comparing my books to 90s blockbusters, and I feel like what I really mean by that is that movies used to use the environment in a way that we don't now that we're like on, you know, sound stages and blue screens and whatever. But like the new Jurassic Park is a good example of this. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but like you're meeting terrible. You're meeting the characters and it's like here's the team, you know, and they're all sitting down and doing nothing as you're meeting each one. And so I immediately went back and rewatched The Lost World, which came out in '97, and it's like you're meeting Richard Schiff, you're meeting Goldblum, they're walking through this warehouse where like people are building shit and constructing things and things are moving, and it's these long takes of like all these moving parts, and we're losing that a little bit in film. We're losing the choreography of being in a space. And so if nothing else, I want the films of my books someday to have that feel, that they're choreographed, they're dynamic, and it feels like you're in that space with them instead of just in a box.
Most of my books have a lot of action, whether it be sword battles, monsters, whatever it is. But some of my favorite scenes are the quiet character moments, the character development, the interaction, whether it be between two friends, lovers, or the hero and the villain. Those are some of my favorite scenes, just those quiet moments where you bring those, the characters forward and the relationships evolve and you get to know them more than you do on a battlefield. So I would definitely want to see those stay as much as possible.